Hi guys, this is Alex from Mason Lifestyle. I hope you're all doing well. On today's video, we're going to be working on a pattern haul for quite a couple of patterns that I've acquired in the last couple of, I would say, month or so. A couple of jackets, some coating, some dresses, and also a couple of oddballs. All right, guys, let's go to the design table. All right, guys, so first things first, I got this pattern this past weekend, and I had told you on my sewing plans that my daughter wanted a pair of cargo pants, so I went ahead and already cut this pattern. It is McCall's 8206. I think this might be a year old, I'm not sure, but we're looking at doing view C. I'm actually going to make a muslin because I have never done pants for her. It's mostly like skirts or dresses or costumes. And she showed me a picture of a pair of Essos, I believe that's how you pronounce it. Cargo pants in this beautiful green, kind of like almost washed out twill. So I got fabric and I am working on these right now for her. Definitely a pattern for teenagers, which she is. And I also told you guys about this pattern. This is part of Vogue's fall patterns. I have been meaning to make a field jacket. I have a field jacket from J. Crew. Guys, it's probably about 10 years old. It fits me beautifully, and I have tried looking numerous times for different patterns that it will fit really, really well. I've looked at so many, and so many things have like drop shoulders. I can't, when you have broad shoulders like me, drop shoulder on a pattern is just, it does not work. But they released this pattern. It's a vintage pattern. Instructions inside are vintage, as I mentioned in my sewing plans. And I told you guys I had just gotten this, kind of like this quilting fabric. It does ask for some lining, but it's not a ton of lining. It's just the back yoke and then the sleeves, which I think it'll be perfect for this. I'm trying to think, okay, do I do a little more? Do I align the entire thing with that fabric? I just got it from Style Makers from their salvage yard, and it was like 1.5 yards, which is perfect for what I want to do. But I'm working on view A. This pattern also has these really fun pants with those pockets, maybe at a later time, but definitely that's something that I'm working on right now. I also got this pattern. This is a lot of kind of like, I think quilting jackets. You saw so many patterns from like Classic Core, from Megan Nielsen, and honestly, none of that stuff called out to me. All the piecemeal of the quilting or using vintage quilts to make a jacket, it just looked too homey, if I can say that. It just looked too homey for me. I'm looking for something a little bit more modern that I can wear in the spring, that I can wear in the fall, right? Kind of like that field jacket that I told you about. I'm looking for something a little bit more modern versus something that that I can wear just for 1 month out of the year. So I saw this pattern from Nomi. It looks very simple. Obviously, she does a lot of the color blocking, but she has some welt pockets. So I'm thinking, okay, I can get quilted fabric already, or I know that Merchant Mills sells something similar to this that I can just line it right and go about my way. And this looks like a pretty straightforward, quick pattern, something that I can make for my daughter if she wanted to something like this, or kind of like a quick project if I wanted to do something for myself. Talking about jackets, I saw this Berta pattern. This is part of, I believe this was released in their fall, because I had looked a couple of months back looking for that field jacket, and I found this. Love View A a lot. And I think this is a really fun pattern because you can also There is also in the pattern where you can do detachable sleeves, which I thought, oh, how fun is that? So I definitely went ahead and got this pattern. I got fabric for view A. I just ordered zippers from Wowak, and I'm going to make this. I got this really fun. It's almost like a quilted but olive green, heavier knit with some batting on the back. So I'll be working through that. It's kind of like one of my little side projects that I want to do for October. Fun pattern again, and this is Berta 5869. Again, 5869. I'm going to put it a little closer so you guys can see it. You see the zippers kind of like on the side, and then the separating zipper there. And again, it has a hoodie. It has, you can do a shorter vest, a longer vest with welt pockets. And then for view B, those sleeves are detachable. Tons of fun. And US 8 to 18, it fits me. I checked. Talking about Berta too, and I had talked about this on my sewing plans. I'm looking to make some knit dresses. Again, something that I can throw a jacket over, be at home, right? Or perhaps on the weekends, just kind of lounging around. I got some knits back there that I just need some quick projects, perhaps in between all these jackets that I want to make. That I can do, and this is Berta 6531. And guys, something to mention, if you buy Berta patterns in the United States, these patterns have seam allowance and hem allowance included. Something that I did not know. If you download a pattern from bertastyle.com, or if you order a pattern from a printed pattern from Berta from overseas, it will not have seam allowance and it will not have hem allowance. So that's why I really try to get some of these printed patterns for Berta. I would love to get some of their magazines, but I'm not interested in a subscription. And I have told you guys that I have vertigo and the magazines come with all those lines. So I have no snowball chance in hell to be able to do those patterns just because the lines are going everywhere. Plus I would have to add seam allowance, hem allowance. It just seems like a lot of work. So printed patterns from Berta it is. I got this pattern in the last sale that Joann's had. I think it was this past weekend. This is Simplicity 9818. I am getting a lot of these vintage patterns, and mostly because a lot of these patterns have some interesting instructions about finishes or seam binding or just something a little different. But I got this pattern. I love view 1. This doesn't have ABC, it has view 1. That, I love that it's current 3/4 length, but I got it because my husband kind of cleaned out his closet for the fall, and he has these beautiful Ike Bahar button-down shirts. The fabric is absolutely beautiful. But since he works in construction, he barely gets to wear suits or things of that nature. And these shirts are a little bit nicer. They're definitely dress shirts. But he said, do you want these? Can you make anything with this? And they are enormous because he likes his clothes loose. Needless to say, he has shrunk in size quite a bit. And he says, what can you use this with? And I'm like, what can I not use that with? I can do that butterick pattern that I did a sew along a couple of, maybe a month or two ago, or I can do this pattern. He has one with like this beautiful herringbone pattern with like blue. That would look so beautiful there. So again, and I'm going to show you the back because it has a really interesting, it has kind of like these pleats on the back, and again kind of like gathered sleeves at 3/4 lengths with cuffs instead of like elastic, which you guys know I'm not an elastic kind of girl by my arms. So again, I got this pattern, is Simplicity 9818. It's part of some of their newer patterns. This pattern has been around for quite some time. I actually had to get this pattern from simplicity.com. I have not been able to find this pattern anywhere in my size range. And I've looked at probably 3-4 Joann's around me. So I said, you know what, let's just get it straight from the source. I'll suck it up and pay the shipping this time around. But this is Vogue 9100. I think this is one of those patterns that you can really dress it up with a really nice fabric, or you can dress it out with perhaps like a rayon challis for the summer. I love that it has custom fit for different bust sizes. It has princess seams. It has pockets. I'm going to show you the back, right? And you do have like a back zipper, and of course it is lined on the bodice. Beautiful pattern. Definitely happy that I got it. I also got this pattern. This is Vogue 9053, and guys, these patterns have been around for quite some time, but I really like that V plunging neckline. I have some striped fabric in here, and I really don't want to do like stripes going down. I want to kind of play a little bit of with the stripes, kind of do a little bit of a bias and have some fun with it. So I went ahead and got this pattern. Again, a Vogue 9053. It's been around for a while. I got another one of these vintage patterns. I feel like I've been gravitating a lot to these more vintage patterns just because, again, there's no such thing as drop shoulders. You have princess seams, right? Things are a little bit more tailored, and that's what I'm looking for right now. Things that are a little bit more tailored, also as far as amount of fabric that you need. You're looking at like 1 inch and 3/8, right? And remember how I told you guys in my video about sewing with remnants, which is usually between 1 yard to 1.5 yards. So I'm looking for patterns like this that perhaps I can do view A with a really pretty skirt and go about my day, right? So again, Vogue 9187. Rachel Comey released this pattern this past fall. I think it's beautiful. There's a little bit of a plunging neckline here, but that is something really, really easy to fix. I'm trying to see if I can get to this pattern. I don't know if I will be able to because my son now requested a costume. And of course, my daughter's like, what do you mean he's getting a costume and I'm not getting a costume? I want a costume too. So it's like, whoa. And he wants like a Mario Kart costume, which is gonna take some time. And my daughter was looking at a Wednesday Addams costume, which I'm like, okay, yes, I can do it. Mood just released a free pattern. So getting back to this, I'm hoping to be able to get to this pattern because I have some beautiful fall fabric that has been sitting in my stash now for, I would say, like 1.5 years. Because again, guys, I buy a lot of stuff from those salvage yards, but I have this beautiful ochre fabric that I got from Style Maker Fabrics about 1.5 years ago, and I haven't gotten to it, but I think this dress is right up my alley. This is Vogue 1967. You see kind of like the gathers there by the neckline. Definitely I would raise that and probably raise the back depending. I would just want to make sure that it covers my bra, but love the 3/4 length sleeves. Love it all. And then I told you guys, knit dresses. This is kind of like a winter, summer this is like, for me, a year-round pattern that I would use. This has a little bit more fun with kind of like gathers, but definitely you need a knit that is not as thick as, for example, like a double knit, because then you would have a lot of bulk. So as I mentioned in my sewing plans video, I have something for this. I'm going to try to make it. I just really have to open this pattern and check out the instructions and see how this neckline is constructed. Does it have some sort of a lining, right? Is this just kind of fold over and stitch, which would be so sad if it did. But again, sometimes it's kind of like these quick patterns that you just want to make because you just want to cleanse your palette in between all these really intricate and time-consuming patterns. And I had told you guys in my sewing plans that I had gotten this pattern from Etsy, which I may have to erase Etsy again because I've told you guys numerous times that I fall down the Etsy rabbit hole. But this knit dress really looks beautiful to me. I was just commenting with someone else on Instagram to direct messaging, and it's just, it feels like I'm gravitating more towards older patterns. Older as in like it's perhaps 10 years old, or it's perhaps a vintage pattern, or right, something that has some fun details, but things that are a little bit more, I wouldn't say perhaps put together, but something that gives my body some sort of shape. I'm shaped like a rectangle. So I just want to make sure that what I'm picking and selecting and dressing every day, it's something that, that one, that I'm going to wear, right? Two, that is functional to my everyday life. And three, that it just highlights a little bit more. I mean, can't call it curves because there's no big waist to hip ratio here, but something that looks a little bit more tailored versus something that's loose with drop shoulders, or you know what I like to call like the moo dresses, that it just looks like you're just wearing a big old blanket over your head. So guys, what did you get this time around, right? I don't know if you've also noticed, you know, Joann's is kind of going through some financial pains. And obviously, I don't know the back end of it. I'm not involved with Joann's at all, besides as much as I buy patterns or notions or every now and then a fabric from them. But I don't know if you guys can see, but their sales for patterns are kind of spreading out a little bit more. I think this coming weekend is going to be Simplicity. And then something else, which reminds me that I have to update on the community board as to what sales are coming up. But again, you just kind of see that the sales are not as like, okay, Simplicity and then McCall's and then Vogue and Butterick. It's just starting to fluctuate a little bit more. So I would say Simplicity.com is also, if you order something, they get it to you within a week. That's what I've kind of noticed. So if you like something and perhaps you cannot get to your local Joann's, or your Joann's doesn't have it, like was in my case, don't be shy of ordering through the website. They have been really good about getting those patterns out. So guys, that is it for me. Let me know in the comments below if you have gotten any patterns. As I've always said, if you guys tell me what pattern, I do Google it. I do go to find it to see what it looks like it. And if I like it, I put it on my wish list. So I'm always kind of, that's why I like to do these pattern hauls. I just kind of like to get a little bit more of information from what are you guys getting, as in like, what did I miss? So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. And I will see you next week. Bye.